Hey, started at the beginning of mid last year. Not gonna lie, I started drinking a little bit, bro. It was kind of, you see, you guys how I used to drink a lot. I toned it down a little bit. I toned it just a little bit. I toned it down a lot. I don't drink as much as I used to. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was drinking still. It was only for a couple of months. I was never drinking like that prior. It was just last year. I don't know why I started drinking. Actually, I know why. But that's a whole different thing. But when I go out, I be tipsy. I don't ever go and don't get drunk. If I go out, I'm guaranteed to get drunk. Like, I don't ever go if I'm not getting drunk. If I'm not getting drunk, I ain't going out. That's how it goes. So I need to learn how to be a drunken master. You feel me? So I don't know why this popped up on my shit, but kid, I'm like, yo, bring it to the channel. Let's understand how to be a drunken master together. You feel me?
Emanuel Augustus is one of the most entertaining and skillful fighters to have ever laced up gloves, with Floyd Mayweather maintaining for years that Augustus was his toughest opponent and calling his talent unbelievable. Augustus knew the ins and outs of fighting so well that he could literally dance around his opponents, earning him the nickname of Drunken Master. Augustus's subtle displays of defense would suddenly morph into a bizarre but brilliant display of skill, as he abandoned all semblance of form to completely humiliate his opponent. He would even occasionally use his dance moves as elaborate setups or feints. As such, watching him provides a multitude of entertaining examples on how to best transition through several different head slots, foot positions, and ranges. The way that Augustus fought, using the extreme variations of several techniques and styles,
This nigga's like Mayweather with like a swag with it!
is a great chance to break down many of the principles and tactics from previous videos, and blend them together into one cohesive whole. So let's look at how Augustus smoothly blended so many elements together in ways that few fighters have ever been gutsy enough to try. Starting with his more subtle skills.
Ooh!
Gutsy,
See how
let's
you
look
did
at
this nigga's face? See how you did this nigga's face? Hold on. That was funny. Look right here. This guy's face erased, bro. Hold on. Now let's see that. Right to the nose. Ooh, he did him dirty. He touched him like. Why'd I hit the mic? I'm sorry. Yo, if a man punches me like that, I might just have to go for a low blow. Still, I can't have it.
what truly made him the
Can't
Drunken
have
Master.
it. Can't have that. Ooh, that was clean. Ooh, that's that Mayweather shit. Mayweather learned from him, man.
We'll start from close range and work our way back. At close range, foot position still matters, but it matters less, and head and upper body positions take prevalence. Most fighters prefer the outside position, resting their head on the opponent's lead shoulder. This protects their jaw from the opponent's power hand by shielding it with the opponent's head. But whether in an open or a closed head position, disengaging and moving inside comes with more risks and more rewards. And Augustus loved to take risks. At this range, smothering the opponent's guard by pressing against him becomes a vital tactic, and Augustus excelled at weaving from shoulder to shoulder, masterfully targeting openings in his opponent's guard before finally pressing in to find safety and pin his arms.
That's smart. He's going close, then he disengages hits, goes back.
Straightening up allows for better vision and more targets, but leaves the fighter the most open. It must be done briefly, before finding safety on the inside once again. That being said, Augustus chose to stand right in front of his opponents on multiple occasions, at times dropping his hands and relying entirely on head movement.
Damn, that's dangerous.
Of course, footwork can still be a crucial weapon at this range. Watch how Augustus sidesteps to escape the ropes and turn the tide of the round in his epic fight against Mickey Ward.
He's eating him.
At mid to long range, these same principles still apply. Since it's impossible to find safety by smothering the opponent at this distance, head movement in tandem with footwork takes prevalence for sophisticated defense. Moving the shoulders between a squared up position and a safer, more narrow position can take on a vital defensive role, no pun intended, as well as put a fighter in position to counter.
Damn.
A square posture provides lateral head movement in either direction, allowing a fighter to set up shots off of the center line. Here Augustus slips and weaves inside and outside in order to evade his opponent's punches and load up power into his counters. In contrast, the more narrow posture provides for greater protection and allows greater lateral movement, but only in one direction. A combination of shoulder rolls, pulls, and ducks can make for a powerful defense. Part of what made Augustus special was his ability to shift forwards and backwards in order to extend the range of his head movement and take advantage of multiple positions. For instance, Augustus would commonly step back into southpaw to shoulder roll lead side attacks, and then duck low to exit out at an angle. Augustus performed these feats to the far side of plausibility, doing things that just shouldn't work, and in fact, they didn't always work. But that never stopped Augustus from trying them. At long range, these body postures can be extended and enhanced by footwork. For instance, the outside position can be obtained by stepping the rear foot outside in a closed stance, or the lead foot outside in an open stance. This takes away the opponent's ability to land with his rear hand, while the fighter still remains offensively capable. While Augustus was well aware of the benefits of using footwork to take an outside angle, he was especially good at utilizing footwork on the inside. Moving inside of the center line, the fighter can take the same attitude as an infighter, squaring up and risking attack to keep both hands within striking distance. Augustus shows this tactic here, closing the distance between his rear foot and his opponent's rear foot to get at his ribs. Alternatively, the fighter can move into an inside position that opens up his opponent and keeps himself safely sideways. Augustus does so here, keeping sideways to flick out his jab and move back to the center of the ring. But Augustus most excelled when he used footwork to move between an open and a narrow stance, just as he did with body posture. In this exchange, Augustus begins in an open stance, slipping inside to avoid a jab and then countering with a body shot. He gains an advantage by keeping his lead foot on the outside. He then V-shifts outside to exit at an angle, switching into an orthodox stance. He steps forward to throw, and then steps back with a lead hook, regaining safety by staying in a narrow posture. Ward moves in with a rear hook, and Augustus responds, squaring himself up to slip inside and returning fire with a lead hook of his own. Anticipating another attack, he shifts back, squares up to slip, then smothers Ward to press him back and create space. After slipping a few more punches, he exits off the ropes. While the last exchange was no doubt impressive, Augustus took it to a whole other level when he danced. Augustus would play with all footwork positions, postures, and head slots, smoothly moving through all the ranges while doing so. Here Augustus squares up inside to lead with multiple crosses. When his opponent tries to push back, Augustus steps into southpaw, and then steps forward immediately into a wide square stance, pulling back to angle in an uppercut. He then weaves under a punch and steps back to exit in a defensive narrow stance. That was impressive, but let's go up one more level. Here Augustus shifts into southpaw to go on the offensive, and then switch shifts back into orthodox to evade his opponent's punch, before rebounding back with a 1-2-3. He then pulls back and steps outside to angle in a counter right over his opponent's jab. Now let's go up one more level and look at what was perhaps Augustus's most impressive exchange ever. Augustus steps in with the cross, presses in to smother his opponent's guard, then turn slips multiple punches. He then switch shifts to avoid a punch and immediately switch shifts back to land a hard uppercut. He dances his way into a cross uppercut combination, slips another punch, and then dances his way inside. His opponent is left so out of position, he's forced to step back to return to an orthodox stance. Meanwhile, Augustus has danced his way into a southpaw position and lands with the leading cross. He next steps through and D'Amato shifts inside again and continues his rhythmic barrage. Emanuel Augustus is truly one of a kind.
Niggas are gold.
Sadly, to quote Floyd Mayweather, Augustus's record did not reflect his talents. Augustus was prone to unfair judging on several notable occasions.
Eddie Reed. While the crowd reacted predictably.
Many of his bouts were taken on a few weeks or even a few days' notice, and Augustus would show up underweight and not yet fully recovered from his last bout. And despite all of his skills, Augustus's lack of power prevented him from winning several fights. All the same, Augustus's antics and skillful display of boxing has earned him a devoted following of lifelong fans, many of which have been asking for a breakdown every single video since the inception of the channel. All I can say is, sorry it took so long.
This nigga's sick.
If you're interested in...
This nigga's sick, bro. Guy was dancing on niggas and shit. You ever been to church and that's all the guns? I said no vacation, but man, you guys already know what it is, bro. From the comment section. And then if you just learn some shit about it. He went from unorthodox, from orthodox to southpaw back. So when we say southpaw is basically when your lead foot and your weak hands on the same is both up. And then orthodox is when you have your opposite from your strong hand. That's basically all it is, bro. Alright, you should know what it is. From the comment section to see the vote. Oh, I don't know if I give a shout to my first niggas. But shout out my niggas who are first and shit like that for the beginning of the video. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna put it in the beginning of the video, but I'm gonna do it now, so yeah. Until next time.
Got me like a rich bitch, limp dick, put it on your daughter and she still call a nut. Patty cake, none of you bitch like Johnny K. AD, I'll pull up in roller skates, work lights on like a library.